Good morning, friends. Today I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I am going to show you all the pages of this very beautiful illustrated book. This book is called The Antlered Ship, and it is written and illustrated by Dashka Slater and the Fan Brothers. I love treasure maps. The day the antlered ship arrived, Marco wondered about the wide world. He had so many questions. Why do some songs make you happy and others make you sad? Why don't trees ever talk? How deep does the sun go when it sinks into the sea? But when he posed these questions to the other foxes, they grew silent. "What does that have to do with this chicken stew?" they would ask. Sorry, don't mind my coffee in the background. So Marco went down to the harbor to see the ship. 3 deer greeted him at the gangplank. Marco wasn't surprised to learn they were lost. "We hope to hire a seaworthy crew," explained Sylvia, the captain. "I'm afraid we aren't very good sailors." "Well, I will join you," Marco said. He thought to himself, "I will search the seas for foxes who know the answers to my questions." A pigeon named Victor volunteered along with his entire flock.
"We want to have adventures,"
they cooed. "Welcome aboard," Captain Sylvia said. "We're going to a wonderful island with tall, sweet grass and short, sweet trees. When we get there, we'll eat a delectable dinner." Love that word choice. But the voyage was more difficult than anyone expected. It rained. Waves crashed over the sides of the deck. "Why is water so wet?" Marco wondered. The pigeons weren't used to the hard work of raising and lowering the sails. After the first day, they went below decks to play checkers and stayed there. The deer worried about sharp rocks and fierce pirates, and feeling seasick, they huddled in the bow and waited for something bad to happen. After days of drifting and dining on crackers, the animals were damp and cranky. "We should have stayed in the woods," Sylvia said. "Deer aren't supposed to go to sea." "We should have stayed in the park," added Victor. "Pigeons aren't supposed to do hard labor." Marco eyed the deer and the pigeons. "Foxes aren't supposed to be vegetarian," he said. "Still, we must do the best we can." Makes me think of the situation we're in right now. There's a lot of things that we are supposed to not do, supposed to be at school, but still we must do the best we can. You can learn so much from books, can't you? That evening, Marco found a recipe book in the galley and cooked a warm and reviving stew. "Should we look at the charts?" he asked, after everyone had eaten. "We might find adventure here," said Victor. "And trouble here," said Sylvia. Emerald Lagoon, Turtle Isle, Maze of the Sharp Rocks. "We'll find the island with the tall, sweet grass and short, sweet trees here." Sweet Tree Forest. Sweet Tree Island. And perhaps foxes too, Marco thought. Foxes with answers. Marco's so cute. As they plotted their course, the wind picked up. The storm clouds thinned into marvelous swirls. "Raise the sails!" Sylvia cried. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful illustrations. In the morning, they came to the maze of sharp rocks, each one large enough to tear the bottom of the boat. Ooh! But the pigeons flew ahead, tracing a path through the shoals and sharp rocks to the safety of the open sea. It's like they're guiding them. Pretty cool. The next afternoon, a pirate ship burst from behind a rocky island. "Turn over your treasure," the pirate captain bellowed, "or we'll put a hole in your helm." Ooh. "Lower the antlers," Sylvia commanded. The ships clashed and crashed and smashed until the pirates turned and fled. Where's Marco? That evening, an island appeared on the horizon with tall, waving grasses and short, swaying trees. "We found it!" Sylvia cried. "We've triumphed!" Victor cooed. "Do you see any foxes?" Marco asked. Oh, yeah, there they are looking out. The deer grazed the grass and nibbled the trees. The pigeons told stories of their adventures to a flock of admiring seagulls. Marco scoured the island for foxes. But he didn't find any. failed, Marco told Victor and Sylvia. No foxes, no one to answer my questions. What questions? Victor asked. Marco took a deep breath. Do islands like being alone? Do waves look more like horses or swans? And what's the best way to find a friend you can talk to? That last one's easy, Sylvia said. You make friends by eating together. I disagree, said Victor. You make friends by having adventures together. Maybe you're both right, Marco said. But I think you make friends by asking them questions. Well then, mused Sylvia, should we head home tomorrow? Or should we visit the island of Scrumptious Shrubbery? Are 2 adventures enough? Asked Victor. Or should we have at least one more? Is it better to know what's going to happen? Wondered Marco. Or better to be surprised? There were so many questions left to answer, and so many more to ask. So in the morning they raised the anchor and hoisted the heavy sails. They knew now that the wind would come and go. The clouds would sometimes make marvelous swirls and sometimes make them wet, and that everything they hoped to find could be found aboard an antlered ship. On the way to wherever they were going. So cool. Marco had tons of questions, and I know a lot of time I feel like I have tons of questions, and sometimes we can find the answers and sometimes we can't. And I know in this world that we're in right now, we might have lots of questions, and it is okay to ask them. You are surrounded by people that will listen to you. I will listen to you. I'd love to hear your questions. I'm so glad you're listening and learning with me today, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. I miss everyone. Can't wait to see your faces soon. Until then, I hope you spend lots of time taking on lots of adventure.